I'm going to introduce myself to her. And the reason I want her to move is because there is a sacredness about today, and this is not just overstating or over spiritualizing things. There's been things that have been controlling your life and have got a hold of you, and it's been going on for generations. And today it stops. And there's been a whole bunch of people that have contended and fought in this realm that I don't know how good your imagination is, but if you could see that there's been the forces of darkness that have tried to crush your life, and if it couldn't crush it, at least hold you back from doing anything really significant. And because of the fact that there's a whole bunch of people that have got zero to gain from putting on an event like this, there's no money in it. There's nothing but hard work and good friends to do it with. And they're going with no sleep, and they're running on fumes, and they just keep showing up and just pouring themselves out because they believe, because of one significant moment, because every one of us have had that moment where we were one thing, something happened, and we became something different. You are sweet. So the only thing that I needed to hear from her was that she sees me, that she knows that I am. I'm not just another person, because she's been around people, and you can see that she's comfortable with this. And it can become, it feels like it's just the theme of what the Lord's saying here, because you are the people that the world is wanting to be like. They covet what you have. You have so much freedom. You've got space to move. You're not stuck in the confines of a city that's dictating your every move. You can somewhat shelter yourself from the things that you want to be sheltered from. And with that comes almost a sense of safety that if we're not careful, we can live as Americans safe and free to do whatever we want to do. But I had a conversation with a lady last night that was confessing she believes in God, but she doesn't really know what that means, but she considers herself a secular person. And I just loved her honesty, because it's okay. It's not my job to change anybody's mind about what they believe, but just to hear her own admission that, man, we started some stuff back in the 80s that we thought would be a really good idea. And it would look like freedom, and it'd feel like inclusiveness, and that everybody's okay. We're all fine. Just be whatever you want to be. They didn't realize what that would look like 30 years later. And it's terrifying on what humanity will do apart from God, where there is literally no truth to navigate you. And she would be one of these that has found that level of comfort and knows what it's like to be safe and taken care of and doing what she wants to do. But the transformation and the invitation today is going to be that what she has held at a distance and found comfort with on just being led around and provided for, that she's going to get consumed by. Because I don't want to be something that's just a part of her world. I want to become her world. Jesus didn't come so that he could give us a way to follow as a pattern. He came so that he could make the sin that's separating you from him go away, and you could become one with him. to where Jesus isn't a part of my life. I don't have a relationship with Jesus. He's all of me, and I'm all of him. And that's going to sound, to some of you, it's like, what are you saying? Well, talk to my wife if you want to find out how perfectly I'm walking that out in reality. She's here. I've got my son sitting down here. The people that are closest to me are staff. They get to see the ways that I just don't act like myself, and I conduct myself in ways that makes it where people want to stay away from me, not come close to me. But it doesn't change the fact that there was a heart of stone that used to be right in the middle, the core of who I am. And this King Jesus that presented himself to me through something very similar to what it is that's going on right now, all of my guards fell off. All the things that I was trying to protect myself from, religion and people and, people in general, God included. I didn't want anything to do with them, and all of a sudden I felt safe in receiving a message through an animal that made it to where, why are you having this impact on me? Why do I feel like I just want to weep? Because I feel safe and I feel seen for the first time. And that you know things about me that I can't even put in words. And then to go on this beautiful journey of 25 years later, be able to stand here in front of y'all and say that it's still happening. Only in a lot of ways, I get to be the one that gets to initiate the conversation. She's getting to feel what's going on inside of me, and she's going to live in response to it. But there's so many things that she doesn't know that she needs, and there's so many things that I know about her that she doesn't know about her. And me revealing those things to her sometimes is scary. It's got me... We've had a couple of rodeos here the last 2 nights. And it started out a lot like this with both of them before, so now I'm like, there's no presumption here. Like, there's fire inside of this animal, and if situation is right, she'll blow her top. And it's not necessarily her fault. It's actually what's part of her nature and her instinct. And all the ways that she's found, we'll call them strategies, that she's got these strategies that's made it to where I know how to feel safe, and I know where to keep people, and they're in their place, I'm in my place. And outside of that, you can see some anxiety level already going on. I got her full attention. She ain't looking at y'all now. She's got both ears on me, and she's trying to figure out, what's this all about? And some of you, why are these people standing and singing to the air like there's a God? You're weird. I remember that. Now I can't stop. Because I know I haven't tried everything, but I've tried enough to know that there is nowhere else for me to go. The addictions, they worked for a while. It was what I call bad medicine. Who was it that made the album Bad Medicine? Who was that? Come on. Who? Bon Jovi, Bad Medicine. I don't know why that just popped into my... Do you got a song, Austin? He's just a pup. He's like, Bon who? Bon voyage. But these strategies, the ways that I found to get out of pain and I could feel safer, and I was like 10 foot tall and bulletproof. Man, you give me just a couple Jackson Coke and all of a sudden I could be myself, uninhibited. And I found out that me being myself turned into a pervert and a fighter. So you could see how that would be pretty damaging on the people around me. And so what seemed like a solution was actually creating a brand new problem. And so I started learning some terminology around back. Good girl. That's pretty good, huh? I really think Jesus works this way. It's like he moves the target because he's just like, I see so much in you that you don't see. You felt like you're whooped. You've got these things that you're hiding behind, the insecurities and the fears, and even right now, what's this hunger, this anticipation of, could it actually be that this one that we hear stories about, this Jesus that showed up in the midst of people's lives at really unopportune times? Like if you think about timing, Jesus didn't show up at like people's best time. It's pretty disruptive. And it's like, seriously, now? Like, follow you now? Like, I've got some things to take care of, and then I'll come. It's not, it don't work like that, guys. Now. And because nobody's been on her before, and I can feel what's going on inside of her, I'm going to get to do this. Four years is a lot of life for a horse. A lot of experiences, a lot of reasons to get in her self-protective mode. And even though she's been shown kindness from the ground, this is not the same thing. This is activating parts of her brain that have never been touched. Look at where her attention is. And that's what I'm waiting for, because we're just sitting here because she's still trying to figure out all of her attention's on me. She's so focused on me. And she's finding a level of peace, but I'm going to know that she's actually got a new level of peace when she's able to deal with y'all the same time she's dealing with me. And this is why it's just such a sacred thing. She just took a big, deep breath when we realized that this thing that God created in this world, where we get all this freedom to do what we want to do, and then we found out that what we want to do is we actually just want to know him. We want to be known by him. And the guilt that comes with that, it's like, I've done so many things. How does that all work? And the forgiveness, like just the being released from your past and having brand new beginnings and a fresh start, that Jesus invites you into this oneness. And sometimes, this all happens pretty quick. And I'm 25 years into the journey, still experiencing this one-on-one, just oneness with Jesus, the peace, the joy, the instruction, the correction, the reminders, the affection, like literally feeling loved and embraced by God himself. That it doesn't ever get old. It's what I live on. And when Jesus modeled this, he was a human. He was God made flesh, saying that I only do what I see my Father doing, and I'm only going to say what I hear my Father saying. That his heart was so full with this one thing. It was all that I want. And I don't really care what it looks like at this point. But Father, take any part of me that's not of you and get rid of it. There's still lies that I believe about myself. There's lies that I believe about women. There's lies that I believe about governments. There's lies that I believe about all sorts of issues that are going on in the world about me, around me. And it's verified with facts. But I want to remind you that there was a time when Jesus was going to go into this really, really tough season. And he went on a 40-day fast. And Papa was so kind to remind him. It wasn't like Jesus hadn't heard these words before, but he made a declaration over it. This is my beloved son, and my favor's resting on him. That means that's my boy, and I'm with him. So heads up. And then he goes into these 40 days, and at the end of it, this dark force, this one they call Lucifer, this deceiver, had the audacity to come to Jesus, King Jesus, and start telling him things that were true. Facts. He would quote scripture to Jesus, trying to deceive Jesus. It's what religion, the evil spirit of religion will do. It'll take facts and it'll use facts to hurt people, to control people, to manipulate people, to shame people, because they can quote a scripture and they can carve you up with it. And if it doesn't look like something that's giving somebody an opportunity to come into a love relationship, then I would say maybe you're using your information the wrong way. Just because it's a fact and it's something that's even in the Bible doesn't give you permission to use it to hurt other people. It's supposed to be something that heals people. And I've been on both the giving end of that and the receiving end of it. And so if we want to see these places filled with people, it's going to be because they're so hungry not to come see any particular person that would be speaking. It would be if they're hungry to find out what's the source of these people that keep bringing healing to their families. Like, I know where their family was headed, and it stopped, and there was a change in direction. I know where that man was headed. I know his dad. I know his grandpa. And then there's him. Where did he come from? And they'll be asking these questions, and then they'll be inquiring, why is it that you guys are doing these impossible things? Sorry, sweetheart, I forgot. We're still trying to figure this out. I think we both fell asleep. It's a good girl. So because she said yes to me, and she just responded to my love in a way that said that you can become one with me. She doesn't have it all figured out. She doesn't know what the cues are. She's not exactly sure how to hear what it is that I'm saying. But I'm doing everything I can to, in a way that I'm not overburdening her. I want her to know this is the way, walk in it. Feel the peace, feel the movement. There's so much in this movement. And she's staying really close to her safe place. It's good. Like Jesus didn't tell everybody to just walk away from everything. He met people where they were at, and he healed them. And he brought the kind of healing that they couldn't do. There's people here I know you need healed emotionally, mentally, physically. But all of that starts with the spiritual healing. Such a good girl. So smart. if you can forget from a horsemanship standpoint why it is that I'm putting a saddle on her, I want you to think of this whole spiritual dynamic and what it is that when Jesus, he lived this perfect life, what was considered the blameless life with no sin, showed everybody else what it's like to be a human that's fully alive, brought in a bunch of people to follow him that everybody else had rejected, like they were never going to be among the spiritual elite. They were the ones that didn't make the cut, and Jesus chose them, which makes me feel really good, because I'm pretty sure I wasn't going to get chosen to be leading any church, not in the religious sense. Yet he chose those people, and they followed him and they watched him, and he started teaching them that he's gonna how to do it. But then he kept warning them, giving them a heads up. Hey guys, I'm not gonna be here. I'm gonna go away. And they're like, nah. You did so good with that. Because they thought that we just had this physical kingdom to build. They were going to stand up against the political system. They were going to stand up against the religious Pharisees. And in a sense they did, because they said that we've heard it said that we should do all these things. And Jesus corrected them. He said, you've washed the outside of the cup, but inside you're filthy. And that's a hard thing to hear, especially when you feel like you're doing everything you can to honor God. Saying you've learned how to conduct yourself in a way that looks like love, that looks like holiness, it looks like you're obeying the rules. But inside there's something that's evil. That's a harsh word. Like, I didn't make that word up. That was he even got worse than that. Highly offensive. But he didn't do it because he was trying to shame anybody. He did it because it's like, you're going to die if you don't stop this. I want you to come and learn the real way. That there's a way that brings life, and it brings purpose, and it brings hope, and it brings vision. And the people around you are going to be filled with this thing that they call love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and faithfulness and gentleness and self-control. It's like everything that we all want, that's what you get. But you can stay doing it your way if you want to do it your way, because you feel like you're following a moral code. But you're going to have to be overcome with power for this to happen. I can't teach her from here. She's going to have to experience it. And they just didn't get it. It was just mind-blowing. And it's the same way I can't explain to her what's going to happen and what her future is going to look like and what it is that her and I are going to be capable of doing, simply because she's saying yes. Both ears still fixed on me. I love it because she's found her peace here. I'm not sure if she's still reckoned with the saddle, so. Game over, man. I don't care where we go from here. Game over. I didn't say stop. I said change direction, sweetheart. You're going the wrong way. And that's a word over this house. You might not be the thug or the criminal, the guy that's out there doing all the bad stuff. You might be the one that's doing the right stuff, and you just realize you're going the wrong way. And you're conveying the wrong message. Because when people come to you, they feel like all they can do is hang their head because they know that they're not doing things well enough. And why Al being in this reason, or in this arena with me, matters so much is because he's the opposite of that. It's why all the knuckleheads show up at their place and hang out with them, because there's a mom and a dad that have decided that we get knuckleheads. We're really good at that part. And if you hang out long enough, I promise you, we're going to do everything we can to show you a different way. And they're doing it in their flesh, in their humanness. But it's empowered by something that they can't see, and then they get to see the power behind it. And like this, Jesus isn't somebody that we just read about in the storybooks. There was God's people, the religious people, and then there was everybody else. And there were some that would worship other gods that were pagan gods. It's kind of like the American God of America, which I'm pure-blooded, born and bred, die for it, red, white, and blue, by God, American boy. So I'm not poo-pooing on that. But America's not my God. And it's not my hope. And I'm not waiting on the government to get things figured out before I'm going to know what it's like to live in a land of the free. Because freedom doesn't have anything to do with the fact that we live in the greatest nation in the world. Freedom has everything to do with the fact that I'm not bound up inside of myself, and I don't have to continue to repeat the patterns that have plagued my family for generations. That I'm free from those chains. And the way, it's filled with gratitude and humility. And I can't really be humble, like really humble, when I'm insecure. Because I'm going to be so concerned about what everybody around me is thinking that, great, now they know that I suck too. But when we know who we are as God's sons, when you know who you are as a daughter, you quit trying to defend yourself. You quit trying to make your case and build that case against people around you so that they can know who's the boss. She doesn't know who's the boss right now. We haven't even got to that place yet, because I want her to feel so safe and so loved and so cared for and so seen and understood that there's no chain of command. I'm love. She's absorbing it all. And in time, she's going to know what it's like to give this back. And she'll take care of people. And she'll be able to share the same love that she's being received on a level that a horse is capable of doing. But please stick with me for a second, because this is a metaphor. Jesus used lots of different things to point out spiritual truths using physical evidence. But don't miss this. She's always going to be a horse. And with me, as one with her, she gets all that I have. That's a really big change for her, because a horse's understanding versus to my understanding, like when I talk about horsepower, it means something different to me than what it means to her. There's a huge chasm between her understanding and my understanding. But the crazy thing about us, and don't let the metaphor die with that, because she's kind of stuck just being a horse, I think. Never seen one change. But Jesus didn't leave us like that. Well, you're always going to be just a human. And this has caused churches to divide. So Holy Spirit, thank you for making whatever it is that I say right now such a profound truth that every one of us will search it out. And we'll say, is that actually possible? That when Jesus came, he said that I am the light of the world, and I've came, and I've revealed to you the Father. If you want to know what this God, Yahweh, the one that you worship, his conduct, his attributes. You've seen them in creation, but let me show you what they look like in humanity. I'm the light of the world. And if you will put your trust in me, you will become the light of the world. That you become the ones that are the Word of God made flesh and you're dwelling among people. If we're created in his image, we're not something other. We're not gods. We're not little gods. We're not going to be able to be the Savior of the world. There was this love that God had that he made it to where he would give his only one and begotten Son. The only one that was truly the beloved one from the Father, pure, perfect, end of story. But you and I get to become one of those. So we're not even bound up in whatever you think a human is capable of. Those limitations don't apply to us. And if we will carry his Spirit, we become love. When people encounter us in all of our various forms and shapes and colors and personalities and giftings and paradigms that you look through and the experiences that you've had, that whatever you translate to people, it looks like love. And it's patient and it's kind and it's not keeping record of wrongs, and it's so peaceful, especially in these moments that really matter, that she's about to fall asleep. There's nothing we can't do now. Because we'll just go from glory to glory to glory, better and better and better. There is no finish line, but there's full acceptance wherever you're at. And I don't know what it's like. I've been dead before, which is another story for another day. Because it ain't over, guys. This earthly experience that's really, really important, and we're putting a lot of attention to, and we're saying that it's worthy of our full attention. Just challenge the thought and say that maybe it's not. Maybe what I do now does matter, but I'm going to live forever, so I can't even die. So I've got no plan B. I don't have a grenade I get to walk around with in my hand so that at any time I want, I can just end the story. It doesn't end. And if we're going to live fully alive, after this life, we live fuller alive. It's a glorious plan. And I don't know how this simple truth is so simple that people can't understand it. It's like it can't be that easy. No, it really is. It's just not without some challenges. It's a truth that you're going to have to contend for. And you're going to surround yourself with other people that are going to help you see what it is that you can't see. And that's why Jesus said that if my people that call on my name will do so in such a humble manner, I'll come and heal their land. But the way the healing on the land's going to look like isn't just poof, and we're all just these beautiful, loving people. He's given us this strategy of learning how to love each other and take care of each other. But we can't even do that if we don't step it back another stage and say, I don't even know how to be loved myself. I'm still hurting so bad from things that happened when I was 4. I'm still trying to overcome that. And you're asking me to run a family? Yep. It's crazy that God would trust me with all of my story and all of the things that we've had to endure as a family, and let me love one woman. She's blonde like this one. Kind of fond of it. Did you notice the gray in her hair here, sweetie? It's cute. I've never seen a gray in Palomino. But if we've been trusted with these things, they're the most sacred things. They're what, when we're laying there and life is falling apart, it's the people that we want close to us. And it's just this shift that's happening today for every one of us to what are we going to place our value on? And is the gospel really alive? Was this the plan? That Jesus said, if you're tired and you're weary, call on me. Let me come in and help. Let me bring this. Please don't lean on your own understanding. Find ways to acknowledge Jesus in your story, and he will direct your path. But he chooses not to direct it from here. He chooses to direct it from a place of such oneness that I'm a part of her.